This is Histories and Mysteries. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jessica. And on this week's episode, Ashley is going to be talking about Navy cats.
Yes.
Like the ones that are on the water, not blue
Navy
cats.
Blue, but that would be really cool.
Right. And I am going to be talking about Norma Jeane Mortenson.
Oh, I wonder how many people right now are going, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah. But I'm going to leave it a mystery.
Ooh.
So.
Yeah, I saw a TikTok on Unsinkable Sam, and I was like, oh, I have to do him. And then he didn't have enough about him, so I did a second Navy cat. So I'm pretty, and I do want to say at the top of the thing, both of them survived the war. So if you're like worried about animals and stuff, it's fine. It's a light, heartwarming stories.
Oh, good.
Well, the second one is a little sad, but also happy. So we'll get there. But no, cats are fine.
Okay. And then before we get started, I just want to talk about this bottle of wine I have.
Yeah, tell me all about it.
For those of you watching, here's a glimpse of it. It is called Crappy Wine. At the top it says, "Wine snobs beware, this may not be upscale enough for you." And then it also says, "We barely remember what grapes we used for this. Doesn't really matter. Vintage? Who cares?" And then it's like all the stuff you don't care about, blah, blah, blah. Product of Canada.
Oh.
This wine is suitable for drinking directly from the bottle.
Nice. It's my kind of wine.
I have a glass though.
Oh, you're fancy.
I'll be classy. And that's about it. It's the tasting notes on the back. We're all experiencing this in real time because I haven't even looked at this yet. It says, "Pairs well with food. Pairs without food too. Pairs well with more crappy wine."
I love that so much.
I bought this because of the name of the wine.
It's pretty good.
I'm trying it now.
Oh.
We're going to get a real-time
review
of this wine.
And while you're listening
ASMR?
to this, while you're listening to this review, why don't you hop on over to Spotify and Apple and give us a nice 5-star review?
That was perfect timing.
Thanks.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yep. Does it live up to its name?
Yes.
Oh, it's crappy.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm sure to other people it will be okay. It's probably just my tastes because I'm usually a red wine girl.
Oh, okay.
But red wine tends to give me headaches. So I was trying to get back into white wines like I used to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's fine. It's just I don't like how I find that white wines just taste very flat.
I can see that, yeah.
They have like, this is gonna sound so stupid because obviously, but like it has like more of a water consistency.
Yeah.
I just always reminds me of flavored water.
I'm just getting into red wine, so I totally get what you're saying about the white.
I love red wine. And when we're there, we're going to try the 19 Crimes Cab Sauv.
Yeah.
Cab Sauv, whatever it is. Cabernet Sauvignon. It's my favorite. So we're going to try it because my sister-in-law got me on it and it's so good.
I also noticed a little something in your nose.
Yeah.
It's not a booger, listeners. She got her nose pierced.
I did. It's still crusty because I had a nose piercing like years ago, like before Evie was born. And I had to take it out for the coffee shop I worked at, the like Tim Hortons. Because you can't have like facial piercing. So I had to take mine out. And I could have like had a stud and I tried that, but it just kept falling out. So I was like,
yeah,
whatever. And then I just never could justify the price.
Yeah.
I was like, I have a child. I could spend that money on diapers or whatever. And then I
Yeah.
was just like, today I had the day off and I was like, fuck it.
Good for
I-
you. I love it.
Thanks. Yeah, it bled a lot because he went through the scar tissue from the last one.
Oh yeah.
So it bled a lot more. But I'm hoping that it works out well.
Yeah. I got mine when I was like 20, I think, and my eye just nonstop watered, but that was
Yeah.
it.
That was what happened with mine today too.
Yeah.
Um, aside from the bleeding, but like when I first had it done like years ago, it happened that I was like crying because my eye was watering. Like I wasn't crying, but like my eye was watering.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I bet you make all the girls cry. The piercer.
Jessica bringing her dad jokes into the real world.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah. So that was that. That was my exciting day.
Love it.
So,
I went grocery shopping. Whoop,
nice.
whoop.
Ugh.
Yeah, and I figured last week's episode was pretty dark. We both did a pretty depressing case. So, well, I mean, mine wasn't depressing, but it was about severed feet. So I thought this week I would do something light and fun. And I saw a TikTok, like I said, on Unsinkable Sam. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. So I'll do it with the kitties.
Okay, tell me all about this kitty cat. I love him.
All right. So I got my resources from SME Science, All That's Interesting, and a publication called Owlcation, like OWL-cation, Owlcation.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. So Oskar the tuxedo cat, which I had a tuxedo cat. He passed away a couple of years ago now. And we have a new, well, he's not new. He was there at the time, but we have a tuxedo cat named Lieutenant. And he is a very interesting boy.
Did we tell the story about how we got out when you first moved?
He was a kitten outdoor, and an outdoor kitten, and one of Cody's friends like rescued him, but his cats weren't getting along with him, so he had like poor Lieutenant locked in the bathroom all the time. So Cody felt bad and was like, "Hey, can we adopt him?" And I'm like, "Sure, more the merrier." I love animals. Let's take them all in. And so, and when we lived in South Carolina, we would let him go outside because it was just we lived in an area where it was safer. But when we moved to Arizona, there's coyotes and birds of prey and all that kind of stuff. So we didn't let him go outside. And here we're right by an expressway, so we don't let him go outside anymore either. Well, he tries to escape quite a bit. And when he gets outside, he is feral. Like, he changes because when he's inside, he is he always wants pets. He rubs up against your leg. He follows you around and screams at you. Like,
oh, I'm so excited.
He is a loving boy. But as soon as he gets outside, he turns feral. I try to get him, and like the only way you can pick him up once he gets outside is by the nape of his neck, because otherwise he like what's it called?
Like scrambles.
Yeah,
Claws, flails.
Yeah, flails. That's what I was like, flails. And you can't get him, and he'll rip your shit up. He had a cut that went all the way down my arm and just bruised.
I saw that the other day.
It was bad.
When I was flipping through our photos.
Yeah, it was really bad. It's feral. Anyway, so this tuxedo cat first embarked on his naval career by joining the Nazi Germany Bismarck class battleship. Yes, Nazi. But when interviewed, Oskar said that due to his small size, he was unable to fight off the Nazis who put him on the ship, so it wasn't his fault. So 1939, the battleship Bismarck launched with her crew of 2,200 Nazis and one prisoner, Oskar the cat. Oskar was quickly assigned the role of pest control, and although he did not want to help the Nazis, nor did he support their views, he couldn't help but chase after the small rodents that would find their way into the ship. He felt like there was something deep inside of him, something primal that took over when he would hear the squeaking of small creatures. So So he did his job, but did not go above and beyond for the Nazi Party.
Oh, good boy.
By 1941, his ship had reached the north part of the Atlantic Ocean. Its mission was to sabotage ships carrying supplies between Canada and the UK. While there, the Bismarck got into an intense 3-day battle against the British Royal Navy and was destroyed. As the ship sank, 114 passengers were able to escape the depths of the ocean, and this included Unsinkable Sam, a.k.a. Oskar the cat. Another British battleship.
Wait.
Yes.
How does he go from being Oskar to Sam?
Oh, I'll tell you.
Oh, okay.
Another British battleship, the HMS Cossack, attempted to rescue the survivors of the Bismarck, and as they did, they saw a cat floating on a plank of wood among the wreckage. They rescued him and gave him the name of Oskar. Unfortunately, several months later, the Cossack was shot by a German torpedo. The HMS Ark Royal came to rescue all of the survivors, including Oskar again. So since this was his like third shipwreck shipwreck that he survived, this ship gave him the nickname Unsinkable Sam.
That's so cute.
I know.
Like, I am honestly trying not to cry.
He's so sweet boy.
The poor little boy.
I know. When interviewed, he said that he was nervous because he had already used up 4 of his 9 lives, 3 from shipwrecks and 1 from a determined toddler he encountered before he was kidnapped and forced to join the German Navy. The Navy agreed and allowed him to retire.
I was gonna make a joke about, oh, they interviewed the cat, and then you legitimately went on to like a interviewed the cat thing.
I made up all the interview stuff, but I was like, this is funny. I was making myself laugh while I was writing this.
Oh god. I should have had this after mine. Mine's depressing.
Oh no. The Navy agreed that he had used up too many of his lives and allowed him to retire. But although his naval career was done, he was not done. He was placed in the governor of Gibraltar office, where he worked as the governor's right-hand man. He used his vast experience in the Navy to help write bills, but every once in a while, his days as Nazi pest control would seep back into his subconscious, and he would find himself in the middle of a cat and mouse chase. After having decided that he had worked enough, he was adopted by a seaman and lived out the rest of his life there until he passed of old age in 1955.
How old was he?
I don't know, because I think he was like a rescue cat. And so the thought on this too is they don't know if he was a real cat. They don't know if this is just folklore or legend.
Wow.
For a couple of reasons. One, there's not really a picture of him. There's a picture of a cat when you look up Unsinkable Sam, and there is a picture of a cat. But this cat is actually Simon, who I'm going to talk about next. And he's often used as a picture for Unsinkable Sam. And when they talked to some of the people on some of the ships that he supposedly was on, they said that they didn't know of a cat, or like he wasn't on the registered things aboard the ship. However, if he was like a stowaway, or if they just kind of brought him on board and didn't like register him, but there's just like not a ton of evidence that he actually existed. But I like to think he did.
Yeah. Like he just pulled a rose on his plank.
Yeah. The next cat that I want to talk about is the cat that you often see in the pictures when you look up Unsinkable Sam. He's a tuxedo cat too. And in the picture, he's wearing a collar, and you can see the HMS Amethyst like written on his collar. And that's Simon, because Simon was on the HMS Amethyst.
What is like like the sweetest little thing.
I know, it's really cute.
I'm just picturing, like, my cats are so cute, okay? than just like their little noses and their little paws.
Cat noses are my absolute favorite thing in the whole world.
Right? Especially when they're sweeping.
Yeah.
And my one cat is partially blind and her face is all
Oh.
like goopy and cut up from when she was a kitten. And she was
Oh.
just so
Well, and I do want to say that I'm going to say this from top. Simon does pass away from complications, a virus infection that he got because he did get wounded. But he lived for a while after he got wounded, and then he got a viral infection. So I do want to say that off the top here, just for
You
anybody.
lied. You
Well, because
lied to us.
he doesn't die from the war technically. And
And I still don't want to hear about him dying.
it's very sweet.
Fine. Go
Okay.
for it.
So another
Ruin
ward
my evening.
cat's name was Simon, and he was born in 1947 in Hong Kong. He lived in the dockyards and he was always looking for a job. He had fathered 75 children and knew that he wanted more for them. So day after day, he would beg humans to give him a job. He wanted to make an honest living he could send back to his family. Finally, a 17-year-old seaman named George Hickenbottom, who was part of the crew of the HMS Amethyst, smuggled him aboard. At this time, it was thought that Simon was about a year old and he was very undernourished and pretty unwell. Poor little guy. Once on board, Simon was determined to prove himself. He started to take it upon himself to catch rodents that were commonly found on the lower decks. Not only would he keep the decks rodent free, but he would also leave his kills in the beds of the other seamen so that they could feast upon the kills themselves.
He was such a proud little man.
He was. He knew that they were awful hunters and he wanted to help them in that department. He would also take on the hard job of keeping the captain's hat warm by taking long naps in it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you took peas and poops in them.
No, he just napped in the captain's hat.
Well, that's nicer.
Yeah. He also went on rounds with the captain to make sure the other seamen were up to standard. They said that he would follow the captain around when he went on rounds and they would just see the cat following him around. It's so cute. And Simon's hard work paid off, and soon he was seen as the ship's mascot, and everyone loved the, quote, cheeky cat. When the ship's commander left, he left Simon for the next commander, who also really took to Simon. Apparently, the first commander Simon had could whistle for him, and he would come running anywhere in the ship. And the second captain, he wouldn't come to him when he whistled, but he still had a good relationship with him. But it just wasn't the same, you know.
Why wouldn't the first one just take him?
Well, I think because at that point he was like the ship's mascot and all the crewmen really loved him and he had fun chasing the mice and stuff.
It's rude.
And so this new commander really took to Simon as well. Loved him lots. He slept in the captain's cabin with him. And unfortunately, the commander's first mission took them up the Yangtze River to replace another ship. On the way, there was a Chinese PLA field gun battery that opened fired on the ship, with one of the rounds ripping through the captain's cabin, killing the commander Skinner and seriously wounding Simon. He crawled onto deck where he was rushed to the medical bay and his wounds were treated. His wounds were treated. They didn't think he would make it through the night, but he did. He survived. And he took some time to recover and then went straight back to work. The new captain was the devil, though, because he was indifferent to Simon and wouldn't let him sleep in his cabin.
It's really fucking rude, man.
Right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But Simon knew he could win the captain over if he could just prove himself. And what was he better at than any human? Hunting.
Catching mice!
So he took it upon himself to acquire a rodent just for the captain, and he laid it at the captain's feet as a gift. And he got a nice little pat from the captain. He was winning him over. Simon would also sit in the sick bay with the crew to help with morale, and like he would like sit on them and purr and stuff. And one time the captain got sick and Simon sat with him until he felt better. And so then Simon was able to sleep wherever he wanted.
Like cats.
I don't know. So while Simon was recovering from his wounds, the decks actually got like the different decks on the ship actually got really overrun by rodents. And this is a big issue on naval ships because the rodents get into their food and they only have so much food before they have to go back and restock. So while once he was feeling better, he had the long, rigorous task of cleaning up those rodents, and also by raising the morale of the crew. Also to raise the morale of the crew. These were his tasks, and he did. He started cleaning up. Unfortunately, during this time, though, when the HMS Amethyst had been shot, they kind of got stuck in a tug of war between the Communist Party and the British Navy. And the 3 different British ships tried to come to the Amethyst's aid, but they came under fire as well. And there was a 3-month standoff.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. The Communist Party said that the British fired the first shot, and they wouldn't let the Amethyst go until the British admitted they shot the first shot. And the British were like, we didn't shoot the first shot. So this is kind of what was going back and forth.
It's like the Star Wars debacle.
Right? The ship was getting dangerously low on food and fuel. Simon did help by killing the rats and keeping them out of the food, but they needed to restock. So on July 30th, 1949, the Amethyst made a mad dash out of the area in the dark of night. They were fired upon, but they made it and they were free.
Oh, good.
After this, Simon became quite the celebrity. He was presented with several awards.
Really?
Yeah, he got the Animal Victoria Cross, which is given to valor in the presence of the enemy. It is the most prestigious award.
That's amazing.
The Dickin Medal for Animals in World War II. As of 2020, he is the only cat to ever receive this award. He got the Blue Cross Award, and he got the Amethyst Campaign Medal. And there was this really, really tough rat on board. And he was so tough that the crew actually gave him a name. They called him Mao Tse-tung. He was a particularly vicious rat. And they tried to catch him because they were afraid that with Simon's injuries, this rat would overtake him. But he did not. Simon kicked his butt.
Oh, good.
And because of this, he was awarded the rank of Able Sea Cat. Yeah.
People don't like cats.
So he was Sea Cat Simon. Simon became so famous that they had to make a cat officer that dealt with all the fan mail that Simon received.
That's hilarious. Wow.
And as the ship headed home, every port they stopped at, he was presented with honor and even had a special welcome when they made it back to the port.
Oh.
So on his Dickens medal, like the inscription said, or not the inscription, but like the
engraving.
Not the engraving, but like what they said for this medal, like whatever comes on like certificate or whatever, says Able Seaman Simon, for distinguished and meritorious service on HMS Amethyst, you are hereby awarded the Distinguished Amethyst Campaign Ribbon. Oh, I'm sorry, this is for his campaign ribbon. Be it known that on April 26th, 1949, though recovering from wounds when the HMS Amethyst was standing by off Rose Bay, you did single-handedly and unarmed stalk down and destroy Mao Tse-tung, a rat guilty of raiding food supplies which were critically short. Be it further known that on April 22nd to August 4th, you did rid HMS Amethyst of vermin with unrelenting faithfulness.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. So all the animals who enter the UK at this time had to go into quarantine. And even though Simon was famous war hero, he still had to go into quarantine. There was no exception given. So they sent him to Surrey to quarantine for 6 months. While there, people lined up to see him, including all of the crew members and the captain of the HMS Amethyst.
Aww.
But unfortunately, while there, he contracted a virus from his war wounds and he passed on November 28th, 1949. Hundreds of people, including the whole crew of the HMS Amethyst, attended his funeral, and he is buried at the PDSA Ilford Animal Cemetery in East London. He was laid to rest in a specially made casket wrapped in the Union flag and buried with naval honors. And on his little tombstone, it says, in memory of Simon, served in HMS Amethyst, May 1948 to November 1949, awarded Dickin Medal, August 1949, died 28th November 1949. Throughout the Yangtze incident, his behavior was one of the highest order. And that's the story of the two Navy cats. That's so sweet.
I'm not crying about a cat.
Those so sweet boys.
Oh, it's the fact that they like buried him with the flag.
I know. It's so
like,
sweet.
How sad that he died alone.
He didn't die alone. He had tons of people around him.
He was in quarantine.
Oh, but people could still see him. They just weren't allowed to like go out through England.
Oh, okay.
Because I said people were lined up to see him. So,
okay.
Yeah, so he had lots of visitors.
I thought they meant like people were lined up to see him because he was supposed to be getting out. And then they were like, too bad, he's dead.
Oh. No. Okay. No, they lined up to see him while he was in quarantine.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah.
Still so sad.
Yeah. He was pretty young when he died, and it was because of like the wounds that he got on the ship. But I mean, he still lived out, a bit of a happy life afterwards. He still got to fight rats and, get some love and become a very famous boy.
Yeah. Okay, well, that story wasn't happy. It was sad.
It was very happy and very cute.
It was sad at the end. Thank you.
Yeah, he also.
Anyways, on to other sad stories.
Oh, great.
So I used Britannica, Smithsonian, LA Times, All That's Interesting, and Express Co. UK.
Oh.
Yeah. I went hot and wild on this one.
Hot and wild.
It's a lengthier one, so I'll try and get through it. So I'm going to be talking about Norma Jeane Mortenson, or otherwise known as Norma Jean Baker, or Marilyn Monroe.
Ooh.
And I'm going to talk about the theories surrounding her death.
I'm so excited.
I am too. Like, honestly, like, for how famous she is, I didn't know a lot about her.
Yeah, I don't really know a ton about it either. I know she was wrapped up possibly in the mafia and like JFK and stuff, but that's really all I know.
Yeah. So, the effervescent appearance of Marilyn Monroe was born on June 1st, 1926 in Los Angeles, California. And her vision and how people saw her really concealed a profound inner fragility and a lifelong battle with substance abuse.
Aww.
The star's difficult childhood, which was mostly spent in foster homes, likely contributed to this. She was raised by 12 different sets of foster parents in succession and for a brief period of time in an orphanage, while her mother was periodically locked up in an asylum.
12?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And now that I'm like kind of reading this out loud, it's interesting because a lot of serial killers start out this way.
Yeah.
And You know, like she didn't go on to murder anybody.
That we know of.
The difficulties she faced persisted as she grew older. She was just 8 years old when she was sexually assaulted and fondled by a lodger in one foster family home.
Oh, God.
She was also the object of cruel jokes made by other students at school as well. She said in an interview, I was tall for my age and scrawny, and my hair was short and rather thin and scraggly. The
Aw.
boys used to yell, Norma Jeane String Bean, and they thought it was so funny that I wanted to be an actress. Somehow they thought I looked like a boy. I was so straight up and down.
Oh.
Yeah. Family friend Grace Goddard eventually took charge of young Norma Jeane. You could buy a sack full of old bread for 25 cents, Monroe recalled in her unfinished autobiography. Aunt Grace and I would stand in line for hours. When I looked up at her, she would grin at me and say, Don't worry, Norma Jeane. You're going to be a beautiful girl when you grow up.
You're a beautiful girl now.
Yeah. She went in, and honestly, she was. Like, I don't understand because I was looking at a bunch of photos of her when she was even younger, and like she was pretty. So,
Yeah. Just not like the va va voom and
well, no, because she had brown hair and
yeah.
she wasn't the bombshell, right? But her previous photos are just beautiful.
Yeah.
She then wed an aircraft manufacturing co-worker in 1942. And if we can do the math, that makes her 16 years old.
Oh my gosh.
But the couple split up soon after the war was over. As a result of her success as a photographer's model, which was she was working at a munitions factory, and he came by and just saw her and was like, I need to take a picture of her. And that basically just jump-started her career.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So she then signed a brief deal with 20th Century Fox in 1946 and adopted the stage name Marilyn Monroe. Thus, her ascent to fame was all the more remarkable, given the great strides she made over the following 2 decades to become the most well-known movie star in the entire world.
Well, yeah, I mean, you think about, I mean, even now, I mean, she's been gone for how many years and people still know her and still talk about her and still have posters up in their rooms of her.
Well, which is funny because, like, when I was younger, like, I used to love her, but I have never seen a single movie of hers.
Yeah.
And I asked my dad about it today, and I was like, "Oh, have you seen any of her movies?" And he's like, "Yeah, I didn't think I don't think she's a great actress." Like, but he was like she was there for her looks,
Hmm.
you know. So,
Well, and
but
I
I
think a
mean,
part of it too is, and maybe you'll get into this, but first, and I don't know how, but somehow she's kind of become a symbol for like I don't want to say like body positivity, but kind of just like accepting your body. And because everybody's like, well, Marilyn Monroe was like a size 14 or whatever, which I think I read isn't actually true. But just the fact that like she grew up having such issues with her body. And then, you know, in some people's eyes, she's kind of a role model for loving your body for what it is.
yeah, I think the thing is that, and obviously somebody can correct me if I'm wrong because I usually am, but my it's my understanding that their sizing was different then than it is now.
Yeah.
So she very well could have been a size 14 then, but I'm pretty sure that that's like a size 2 or something now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like she was smaller because I mean you see it in the photo. She has this beautiful hourglass figure. Yes, she has rolls, but like she wasn't like plus size by any means, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And
But
even if
yeah.
she was like,
Well, and the thing is like she was. And I don't think I included it in my research, but I was reading that after her death, her fashion, like, and kind of the way that she dressed and presented herself, women started dressing like that after her death. That's how much of an impact she made.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
I love that.
Me too.
Especially with the way she grew up, and
Yeah.
feeling so down about her own body and,
Yeah.
you know.
I'll have to show you, I'll have to screen share afterwards and show you some pictures of her when she was younger.
Yeah.
Because, like, before she became Marilyn Monroe, because she was just, I honestly think she was more beautiful then.
Yeah.
Like, her natural beauty, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, she signed this awesome deal with 20th Century Fox. Incredible. We all know the name, right? So her ascent to fame was all the more remarkable given the strides that she made over the following 2 decades to become the most well-known movie star in the entire world, like Ashley said.
Yeah.
Her filmography had already brought in the equivalent of about $2 billion in today's money by the 1950s.
Oh my gosh.
That is 4 years.
That's insane.
She made a few brief cameos in films produced by the Fox and Columbia Studios, after which she was once more jobless and started modeling once again.
Yes.
I guess my mom is getting caught up on our podcast
Oh.
because she just texted me and she's like, not all people watch porn, Ashley.
Everybody watches porn just because mom.
Sorry, that made me laugh so hard. So she started modeling, and then she landed a small part in the 1948 movie Scudda Who, Scudda Hey.
Ooh.
Thanks to a nude picture that appeared on a calendar. So that's probably where the body positivity came in.
Yeah.
Monroe received a ton of fan letters for her uncredited little part in the Asphalt Jungle in 1950. She received widespread acclaim and another contract with Fox because of her participation in All About Eve. She then received a star billing in a string of films such as Let's Make It Legal, 1951, Love Nest, 1951, Clash by Night, 1952, and Niagara, 1953, thanks to her studio-cultivated reputation as a love goddess. She gained international recognition and widespread admiration for her roles in the films Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, again, 1953, How to Marry a Millionaire, again, 1953. So that is 3 movies in 1953. And There's No Business Like Show Business, which was a 1954 film.
Wow. She's a busy lady.
Yeah. She then wed baseball legend Joe DiMaggio in 1954. And the attention that followed was massive. Less than a year later, though, after their marriage had ended, she started to become unsatisfied with acting.
Oh.
But she then made her comedic debut in The 7-Year Itch, which was in 1955, and Bus Stop, which was 1956.
Mm.
And this is the wild part for me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She married Arthur Miller.
Of Arthur Miller Dance Studios.
You don't know who Arthur Miller is?
No.
He wrote pretty sure he wrote Death of a Salesman.
Oh.
Arthur Miller, because he was a playwright.
Oh. So not of Arthur Miller Dance Studios.
Oh yeah, Death of a Salesman, The Crucible.
Oh, he wrote The Crucible?
Yeah.
Really?
So yeah. So just like not the type of person that I would have thought that she would have gone for, you know?
Yeah.
And she was married to him the longest out of anybody.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so that just shows like the depth that she had, you know?
Yeah.
So she married him in 1956 and then took a short break from acting, but she did co-star in The Prince and the Showgirl in 1957 with Laurence Olivier.
Hmm.
For Some Like It Hot, which was 1959, she received critical recognition for the first time as a major performer. And although Miller wrote The Misfits in 1961, which was Monroe's final film expressly for her, their marriage fell apart during filming and they divorced in 1961.
Aww.
It was obvious that her desperate desire of becoming rich and famous as she grew older had come true, but the childhood trauma she experienced at the time remained. The young celebrity, who suffered from anxiety and depression, frequently used drugs and alcohol to obtain a form of peace.
Aww.
She was drinking champagne, straight vodka, and occasionally popping a pill. I said to her, Marilyn, the combination of pills and alcohol will kill you.
Aww.
And she responded with, it hasn't killed me yet. And then she took another drink and popped another pill. That was James Bacon, who is a close friend of hers. So sad.
Yeah.
Monroe's habits eventually started to interfere with her career. She was sacked from her film Something's Gotta Give because she consistently failed to arrive at set on time, if at all. And because she also frequently forgot her lines when she did end up showing up.
Aww.
So, director Billy Wilder said of the experience that it was worth a week's torment to get 3 luminous minutes on the screen.
Mm.
So rough.
Poor thing.
During this time, she had also traveled to New York City to sing Happy Birthday to John F. Kennedy, whom she was supposedly having an affair with.
Yeah, I've heard this one.
But like, it could have just been like, people hire celebrities for their birthday parties to sing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right? But she's a bombshell.
Well, and she saying it so sexy, like.
Probably why I hired her. She's
Probably.
a sexy bombshell,
Yeah.
I just hate that it automatically leapt to having an affair.
Yeah, I mean, I'd want her to sing Happy Birthday to Me shit.
Right? Honestly. Given her personal troubles, it shouldn't come as a huge surprise that her death in 1962 was ruled a suicide. And this is also substantiated by the fact that she had attempted suicide in the past.
Mm.
The final interview with Marilyn Monroe is heartbreaking. Just one day before the actress passed away from a barbiturate overdose at the age of 36, it was published in Life magazine on August 3rd, 1962. In it, Monroe reflected on her star status while also being thoughtful, open, and witty.
Mm.
She said, when you're famous, you kind of run into human nature in a raw kind of way. It stirs up envy, fame does that. People you run into feel that, well, who is she? Who is she? Who does she think she is, Marilyn Monroe? Like, that is very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Just, it seems like she's just internally struggling.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Just having a hard time figuring out who she is, like she has all these different lives that she's lived.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Peter Lawford, John F. Kennedy's brother-in-law, was the last person to talk to Marilyn Monroe before she passed away, despite not being present. Saying farewell to Pat, Lawford's wife, was how she closed their final phone call. She bid the president adieu and leave yourself alone since you're a fine man.
Oh.
Dr. Ralph Greenson, Marilyn Monroe's psychiatrist, and Dr. Hyman Engelberg, her personal physician, were called to the actress's home in Los Angeles at 12305 5th Helena Drive early on August 5th, 1962.
Aw.
So that last interview of hers was published 2 days before she died.
Wow.
Yeah. Longtime housekeeper Eunice Murray called the Star's doctors in a panic after waking up at 3 a.m. and discovering the light in the Star's bedroom still on.
Oh, jeez.
She knocked to see if everything was well, but the locked door and a lack of response worried her.
Yeah.
Greenson entered Monroe's room by smashing the bedroom window.
Hmm.
He discovered her in bed, completely undressed, face down, with a phone in her hand. The psychiatrist rapidly realized that everyone had to face reality. On the opposite side of the door, he quietly informed Engelberg. She seems to be dead, he said.
Aw.
Around 4:30 a.m., Engelberg declared Marilyn Monroe deceased and called the police. Milton Mickey Rudin, one of her solicitors, hurried over and took care of business on the phone in the interim. Arthur Jacobs, which was her publicist, hurried over while attending a concert at the Hollywood Bowl. Since then, Arthur Jacobs has declined to discuss the night of Marilyn Monroe's passing. Years later, he said it was too horrible to talk about.
Aw.
And I don't think I mentioned it, but because she was face down, all of the blood had rushed to her face.
Oh, yeah.
And like she was unrecognizable
Yeah.
because she was so swollen, and they had to cut open a part of her neck or her face just to get everything to go back down.
How long do they think she had been laying there dead?
I honestly am not too sure, but that's the thing. Like, it's so weird. And I'll kind of get into it in a bit.
Okay.
And it's about her housekeeper. Although Monroe's nightstand was strewn with prescription medication, which suggested death by suicide, the underlying mystery surrounding her death remained. The yard of the bungalow was crowded with reporters by sunrise. The autopsy.
I was gonna say, I would imagine, especially in Los Angeles, they would, I mean, they're all right there. Yeah.
Yeah. The autopsy on her body was performed at the LA County Coroner's Office. And when she passed away, presumably from sleeping pills and the barbiturate Nembutal, tests that day revealed significant amounts of chloral hydrate in her blood. Monroe's death was nevertheless classified as probable suicide in the official death certificate by the coroner. The amounts of chloral hydrate were so high, he reasoned, that the sleeping pills had to have been consumed within a very short time, roughly within 1 minute.
Wow.
Which to me indicates murder. Like someone shoving them into her mouth.
How many pills would it have been? Do they know?
I didn't get a specific number, but based on how they're talking, it would have to be like a significant amount. Like to me, that would be too much to consume within a minute if it was pills. So they have another theory in a bit.
Okay. Well, because I was going to say, I could see where if you are trying to die by suicide and you're like feeling desperate and feeling upset of just shoving them and shoving them and shoving them.
Yeah. It just seems weird that you would do that and then have the phone in your hand and you'd be face down, you know?
Well, the other thing I was thinking of is if she regret it and was trying to call for help.
Yeah. I don't know. I just always pictured her like on her stomach, like laying on her bed, you know, with like her legs up in the air, like talking on the phone. Like,
Mm.
I don't know.
I
It's
mean,
all so weird.
yeah. I mean, I could definitely see where, like, if she had shoved all those pills and shoved all those pills and then laid on her, like, flopped down on her bed and then, like,
Yeah.
tried to call for help.
I don't know. I would have figured that she would have like fallen onto her back, not her stomach, you know?
Mm,
I'm probably thinking too much into it, but like
yeah, I would
it
have
just
thought
seemed
stomach.
it just seems so sketchy to me. Like,
Yeah.
and there's more to come.
Okay. So far, I'm not convinced. Let's hear more.
Okay. Good, because I have more. Uh, in the meantime, the police report from the authorities suggested that her passing might have been an accident, like you suggested.
Mhm.
However, her friends found it hard to believe the vibrant actress had passed away so quickly. Sophia Loren sobbed when she learned of Monroe's passing. In a letter from Spain, author Truman Capote described his acquaintance with the actress. It presented a considerably more optimistic picture than the one of depressing despondency covered up by drug and alcohol binges. Cannot believe that Marilyn Emma is dead, he wrote. She was such a good-hearted girl, so pure, really, so much on the side of the angels. Poor little baby.
Aw.
The official story of Monroe's death was rapidly refuted by a large number of her acquaintances, who insisted that there had been a blatant attempt to hide her murder from the public. Just a few days earlier, when Bacon had last seen her, she had been in fantastic spirits. He declared she wasn't the least bit depressed, and she was even discussing traveling to Mexico. Pat Newcomb, a different acquaintance, claimed to have seen Monroe the evening before she passed away when the two jokingly discussed going to the movies the next day. So it doesn't seem like there would have been that much time that passed.
Yeah, we need to put a trigger warning on this for the talk of suicide. Um, but I do know that, when people are thinking about dying by suicide, once they've made the decision, they get in a significantly better mood.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it's happened to a couple of family members of mine in the past too. So
Yeah.
I get that.
And I can see where friends and family don't want to believe that she would, die by
Yeah.
suicide.
Like
But
Robin Williams.
yeah. Yeah. But who knows? But and I'm obviously not an expert. In my opinion, doesn't matter, one way or the other. But I can still see it being, she died by suicide.
Yeah. He remarked that she was in perfect physical condition and was feeling great, possibly as a result of her recent rekindling of a romance with her ex-husband, Joe DiMaggio. Does that sound like she was depressed about her career? One of her associates frankly questioned. Marilyn Monroe didn't leave a suicide note, though, and had recently been rehired for the movie Something's Gotta Give. However, there was no evidence of the pills in her stomach, despite the autopsy report claiming they were the cause of her death.
Oh, okay, so that is fishy.
Yeah. Thomas Noguchi, the case's junior medical examiner, later demanded that the investigation be reopened.
Wow.
The fact that Monroe's housekeeper, here we go, was also observed washing her bedding in the middle of the night when police arrived at the bungalow may have been the most suspicious.
That is weird. That's really weird.
She was washing Marilyn's bedding. Like, that's just weird.
So I'm confused. So she was, didn't they find her on the bedding?
Yeah.
So was she washing it after they removed Marilyn? Or, I mean, that would have to be, right?
No, like it said that she was observed washing her bedding in the middle of the night when police arrived at the bungalow. So maybe she had grabbed like the blankets that were on top, not the sheets yet.
Oh, okay, okay. So Marilyn was still in bed
Yeah, she was naked on her bed.
and So she was still in bed when the housekeeper was washing bedding.
I'm assuming yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Unsettlingly. That is not a word.
Sounds good.
The deputy coroner who saw Marilyn Monroe's death said that he had to sign the document under duress.
Oh, that's weird.
Slowly but gradually, people had had enough of the official version, and a new investigation was launched in 1982 as a result of numerous reports and books that had been written.
Oh.
Although the report came to the conclusion that the information examined fails to support any theory of criminal conduct, and it was clear that the investigation had turned up some factual discrepancies and unanswered questions. In the end, the fresh inquiry determined that she most likely died by suicide.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yes. Theorists contend that Monroe's private life offers a variety of probable homicide motives, some of which are rather significant. The idea that Marilyn Monroe's death was planned by Robert Kennedy is arguably the most well-known conspiracy theory.
Yes, that's the only one I've ever heard of.
The goal in this case, popularized by actor Gianni Russo of Godfather, was allegedly to protect John F. Kennedy from irreparable character ruination should their relationship ever come to light.
Oh.
What do you think? Like, do you think that they had an affair?
I mean, is there any evidence that they did?
Not really. Like, not that we know of. I think it was all hidden.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me either way.
Right? Like, I honestly feel like I don't know John F. Kennedy. I don't know the guy. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I don't know what he did or didn't do. I just know he was shot and it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And his family was awful to their sister.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I guess it could be like 50-50.
Yeah. I mean, I've
But
never really heard any evidence for it. I've just heard that it could have happened. I'd like to know if there's any.
yeah, I think it was just because I think like a lot of the speculation came from her singing Happy Birthday the way she did.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, if you're put up in front of the president of the United States, wouldn't you want to be a little flirtatious and sexy?
I mean, if you look like John F. Kennedy, yeah. If you look like Donald Trump, no.
Exactly. I was thinking that as I was saying, I was like, no.
Depending on who it is.
John F. Kennedy was a firecracker, though. Damn.
Yeah. He was very handsome.
He was very handsome.
I'm not going to lie. Have you seen pictures of young Biden?
I think so.
He could get it, man.
He could.
He was handsome.
He was.
I mean, the man's 80 something now, so.
And he doesn't look terrible for his age. He looks like he's in his 60s. Like
he needs a hair. He always has like the back little part of his hair is like too long. Let me cut that up. But
like Charles.
Yeah, but yeah.
King Charles. That's weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. The mob and Chicago crime lord Sam Giancana were seeking the actress in order to get to the president, according to Russo, who claimed to be her ex-boyfriend.
Of course he did.
The idea was to capture a threesome of the two and Robert Kennedy on camera in order to bribe the president into conquering Cuba and handing over control of its casinos to the mob.
That'd make for a really good movie.
Right? Oh, Ashley. Let's do it.
Can I play Marilyn Monroe?
Yes. You look like her.
Of course I
do. When Monroe was made aware of the scheme, she vowed to expose those responsible to the press, and she was later murdered by Robert Kennedy in an effort to put an end to the whole debacle. Other theorists were more wary of Monroe's wealth and those in charge of it, suspecting that they might have injected the actress with barbiturates on purpose to get complete access to her finances. However, everyone agrees that she was killed by a deadly injection, which is corroborated by the fact that she had no pills in her body, and there was a small, puzzling bruise on her lower torso.
I forgot about that she didn't have any pills in her body.
Yeah.
That's super weird, especially with the amount that they said that she had taken or would have
And
had
the
to take.
bruise, the tiny little bruise on her lower torso. The FBI was aware of allegations that the actress had been murdered, according to Monroe's FBI file, which was rediscovered 50 years after her death. But the file does not indicate that the Bureau checked in on the claims.
Oh.
Fishy, fishy. Also abandoned for hours was her body. In actuality, she allegedly spent more than 24 hours alone in the mortuary.
Oh, wow.
There have also been rumors circulating that her body went missing for hours after she was removed from her home, which was the reason I decided to do this story. So they speculate that she went missing between her home and the morgue for like 6 or so hours.
Mm.
But there is no evidence to back that up.
Okay.
Her will and an untold number of unexplained papers that were secreted away in shopping bags and then taken out by her business manager, Inez Melson, within 48 hours of her passing were further issues. All of this was carried out as the police collected witness statements. This is super fishy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The actress's will created a $100,000 trust and was submitted for probate on August 16th. Her mother received a yearly allowance of $5,000. The widow of her acting coach received $2,500. Her half-sister received $10,000. Her old secretary received another $10,000. And writer Norman Roston received $5,000. This next part is super sketchy. And this is why I believe it wasn't.
That's some
what they
weird
say it
people to
was.
have in your trust, though.
Mm-hmm. None of these kind donations were unusual to anybody, but this last one caught the attention. Monroe allegedly believed that Dr. Marianne Criss, her New York psychiatrist, who had imprisoned her against her will in a padded cell at the Payne Whitney Clinic in 1961, would receive 25% of her inheritance.
Whoa. And it wasn't like a thing where after she got out, she like forgave him and thanked him for helping her, or like she was still mad about it.
I have no idea. I'm assuming with the way that this all played out that she was still mad at him.
Wow.
But
That is weird.
crazy. Just really sweet, this part, okay?
Okay.
DiMaggio, her ex-husband,
Mm-hmm.
planned for her funeral to take place on August 8th, which was just a few days after she passed. Only about 30 of her closest relatives and friends, none of whom were from Hollywood, were invited. Police were present to prevent the media and large crowds of onlookers from interrupting the day. But even so, there were still many people in attendance on the streets that surrounded the cemetery. The ceremony was officiated by the local clergyman, and Monroe was dressed in a green Emilio Pucci gown. She was holding a little bouquet of pink roses. During the service, a recording of Judy Garland's Over the Rainbow was being played.
Oh. That's another famous woman that had a really
hard life.
Hard life, yeah.
DiMaggio planned for red roses to be left at her crypt 3 times a week for the following 20 years.
Oh, so sweet.
Right?
So sweet.
More details regarding Monroe's time in the morgue were made public years after her passing. Dr. Thomas Noguchi was scheduled to conduct the star's autopsy, but after receiving Monroe's body, he stated the samples from her stomach and intestines had been destroyed.
Convenient.
And remember, people talk about how she went missing between her home and the morgue. The toxicology report was in turn impacted because of this evidence being destroyed. Additionally, he found out that with the exception of her blood and liver, tests were never done according to her toxicology report. So, we may never know for sure how Marilyn Monroe passed away, but we do know that she was a talented and intelligent young woman who fulfilled her aspirations before passing away tragically as a result.
Wow.
And that is my Marilyn Monroe story.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
That's so crazy. I don't know now what I think.
Yeah, no idea.
I mean, we do know that she was very, a very tortured soul, and that is terribly sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, anyways, I have some jokes. Do you have any jokes?
I don't.
Okay. What's the best day to get a tan?
Sunday.
Yeah.
I think that's the first one I've ever gotten.
I know. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks.
Oh. Hollywood is fake. It's all paid actors. Hollywood movies are fake. Not once did a cop take me downtown.
What if you live in a big city? They're going to take you downtown.
No. This one's funny. What would you call a Hollywood film director who is isolating from COVID?
I don't know.
Quentin Quarantino.
Oh, those are so bad.
Also, before we end this episode,
Yes.
Our one listener, Ashley, she got married recently.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so congratulations. And thanks for everybody that follows us. We love you.
Yeah, absolutely. We are having a blast doing this, and we really picked up our Instagram game, and we've gotten a bunch of followers there. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, head over to Instagram, follow us there, Histories and Mysteries Podcast. We post a lot on there.
Except we missed last week.
Oh, geez. But we post a lot of fun things on there, so head over
like
there.
really funny jokes that we laugh about. And I started Zumba this week, so you get to see me dancing and sweating. It's fun.
That's awesome. I want to try Zumba. I really want to try a pole dancing class, like an exercise pole dancing class.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
My Zumba instructor is Brazilian.
Ooh.
And she's awesome, but I can't follow choreography to save my life. And I didn't realize that until I started. So I just ended up doing the Carlton at one point. Because I just like I could not follow her feet. She was going so fast. And I was like, well, I just gotta keep moving. I gotta keep myself going. So I just decided to do the Carlton.
There's this guy on TikTok I follow. He's called the Fitness Marshal, and he does kind of like Zumba too, but his like own style of it. And he's got he calls them backup booties. And he has a whole like booty camp that you can subscribe to, but he's on YouTube. But he gives off like a free trial course or whatever, and I did it, and I was like, thank God no one is here to see me because I am awful at following choreography as well.
Yeah. It's awful. I cannot do it. And I did not realize how like immersive Zumba is
Yeah.
because she has us using our arms. She has us squatting. She has us doing jumping jacks, moving our bodies, and she like does these like sexy movements. I'm just like,
And of course,
So-
I'm sure she looks like super awesome when she does it.
oh, she freaking does. But I just like put myself in the back of the room, and
Yeah.
only she can see me.
Perfect.
So I kept
That's what I
making
would
eye
do.
contact with her when I was doing the Carlton. I'm like, yeah.
Well, like you said, it's about keeping you moving. So at least you did that.
Yeah. And my one of my best friends joined me. So yay.
Oh man, that's exciting.
I was gonna be doing it by myself, and then I convinced her to try it with me. So she's doing it with me now, which is awesome. Because we
Yay.
like never get to see each other because we're so busy. So this
Yeah.
is a really good excuse for us to just like hang out and actually see each
Yeah.
other.
And be
So
goofy and fun. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
it's awesome. So
Yay.
yeah. And if there's I was gonna ask our listeners something. I don't remember what it was, but Ashley and I are going to be getting together soon
Yeah.
for the first time ever. And if there's anything that you want to see from us while we're in person together, let us know if there's anything you want us to do.
Yeah.
Or if there's anything special that you want us to do for our first in-person recording. Yeah, and then we're going to have a giveaway soon.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that when we're together because we want to make it super special. And we think that the best way to do that is to be together. So yeah, we're excited. We have a lot of fun stuff coming,
Yeah,
guys.
we do. We do. We're very excited. And like we said, let your friends know about us. Jump over to Instagram, follow us there. And we're also on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, and if you want to rate and review us, you can also do so on Spotify and Apple. And go check out I did not sign up for this podcast.
Yeah.
We were on their Patreon last week or 2 weeks ago, and it was so much fun.
Oh, they're the nicest person. And
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
lot
Check
of
them out.
fun. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, we look forward to bringing you 2 new stories next week.
Bye.
Bye.